Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Arkham Knight New Game Plus walkthrough.
I need to use both antennas to identify the micro.
So, now that we've got the antennas up and running, we're going to be using this crazy bat meringue that's going to enable us to try and track the location of the fear toxin. So we're going to be triangulating with both the analogs, and it's going to be, you only have to point it to the direction that it is, which I know sounds novelty in video games these days, but sometimes you have to jump through hoops. This game allows you to just do that if you know where it is. So put it over there on Ace Chemicals, and that is exactly where we're going to be going. And this is the first real set point and set piece of Arkham Knight. But I apologise to people coming here for tips and hints and a guide through the game. This video is definitely going to be diverted a little bit because there's been some bad news with this walkthrough, unfortunately. I had a capture failure, and I don't know why, and it's the worst possible thing that can go wrong, in my opinion. Because if it's me, I know where to blame, and I know what to do in the future to eradicate my flaws, or hopefully anyway, that I can work towards a central point and make sure it never happens again. But when it's the technology, sometimes that's a little bit more difficult. And this is literally something that cannot be predicted, cannot be fixed, cannot be, even noticed. Like, I saw nothing while I was recording that would even constitute to what happened to this footage. And I don't know if it's because my room got too warm, because it's very warm at this moment in time, even though I've been recording with this thing in a warm room for a very long time, and like The Witcher 3 was pretty much the biggest saga of recordings I've ever done in a row. Not a single issue like this. However, this one suffered. So I got to the point where you go to a certain area in the game and Harley Quinn is there, and you end up teaming up with Robin and doing a sequence of pretty awesome sections. It's one of my favourite parts of the game. Then after that is all the hard stuff, or the parts of the game that I would class as being quite difficult, a la protecting Ivy's plant with the tank, a horrendously difficult section in some cases. The fights against the Arkham Knight, pretty much horrible, not a big fan of them at all, wish it was just a fist fight and it's not. And then a few other sequences, pretty much the hardest parts of the game, all of those are ruined. Videos that were 30 minutes long are now 6 minutes long, and when you press play on them, there's no volume, and the picture is jumping between points in the video, artifacting, getting those weird green craziness on them. It's just jacked and messed up. And I had absolutely no idea this was happening because the recording, when I was watching the preview, and I always have my preview on, perfectly fine, no indication of what it was. Touched the Elgato, it wasn't warm, it hadn't melted anything, nothing felt warm, nothing felt off, nothing was different, I hadn't changed a single thing. Yeah, all I know is about 4 hours of the gameplay got fucked. And that sucks, because I was making really, really good progress with this game, considering I didn't get it early, and I tried my ass off quite a lot to get it early. So now I'm faced with a wonderful situation of, I have about 10 videos of New Game Plus, and then nothing, because it's all gone.
Data connection active.
And then the option is, what do I do? Like, to continue this walkthrough, I have to beat the game another 2 times. And I've already beaten it 2 times in the space of 2 days. That's not fun, guys. It's not. And this is an amazing game, and I absolutely love it, but I don't want to play it again so quickly, so brutally like I did, because the only reason why I did it that way to begin with was for my YouTube. Was I put my work cap on and I go, this is not about me or my feelings, this is about doing what I'm paid to do. And that's the only way I can get through it, because personally I don't enjoy it too much after that first playthrough, running back through it again. But I like making the videos, and getting the guide up quickly is the best way to help it to succeed. But if it was up to me, I fucking wouldn't have done that. I'd have been too busy doing all the other stuff, all the side quests and things. But, you make sacrifices for things that you have to do. But the notion of doing it again, twice, it's soul destroying. And I don't know how I'm going to remedy this, because if I play up to the section where the gameplay got corrupted and I'm on hard and I continue from there, it'll be half New Game Plus, half hard. But playing through it again afterwards, it's a first world problem to begin with, but it just sounds so brutal to me, so truly, truly brutal. And that's not mentioning that I have Devil May Cry 4 on my hard drive waiting to be worked with. Like, there's a lot of shit going down at this moment, and I really like this game, but it's such an endeavour of time and sweat that could be spent doing other things, and that's not speaking that tomorrow I've got a wedding to go to and then after that I've got plans with some family members. Like, it's just, as anybody will know, when things go wrong, they tend to go wrong in threes, or at the worst possible time they could physically have gone wrong, and that's pretty much what happened. I don't know what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to think about it. I was having issue with my PC today. Everything's going wrong with one of the fans, but that's an ongoing issue that's been happening for a while. So I was playing this game on hard again from a new save, and I got up to... I've just cleared Stag's Enterprise, which is the Twin Zeppelins, where Scarecrow runs away with the Cloudburst. And I'm officially at that point where I'll probably start getting really mad with the game if I do another playthrough after that, so I don't know. It sucks, it truly does. And you might be thinking, you know, just give it a break and come back, but you've got to appreciate just how important being fast is on YouTube. Like, there's a chance that I could have had every video up to date, and still the guide wouldn't have succeeded. There's always a chance. There's nothing about YouTube that is certain or certified. It kind of sucks that way. But I've been on YouTube long enough to know that that's how this works, and you take that gamble and you have that faith, and sometimes it pays off, like The Evil Within did, and sometimes it doesn't. And it's frustrating, but at least you gave it your best. At least you put it out there, and it's not on you at that point. It's just on the laws of the internet, as capricious and annoying as they can be. But it sucks because this is going to affect my commentary of this project, and I don't want it to, because this game is so great, and the walkthrough that I recorded I'm incredibly proud of. I thought I did a fantastic job, and nobody's going to see any of it now. You're going to see bits of it, of course, but not the bits I wanted you to see. And I know when I record it like it's a hyphenated word, it's probably not going to have the same effect or even get the same performance. Like, there's a shootout outside the GCPD against an army of tanks where Oracle's helping you, and I did it without being touched, which is not that difficult to do, but that is one of those shootouts that's horrendously long, and you're in the tank, and the tank is arguably some of the hardest and most annoying parts of the game. Everything you do in the Predator sections and in the combat sections, some of the easiest stuff that you've ever done in an Arkham game, because of how powerful Batman is in this one. As soon as you enter that Batmobile, shit gets tricky. Speaking of, at this moment you want to use the Batmobile, and you can start doing some suppressive shots. If you want to fight these people, don't shoot them like I'm doing now. Just shoot the guy on the left who's bald. It will trigger this little animation, and you can go out and beat them up. However, I didn't have too much of an interest in doing that, so I did it the way I just did. And I got grabbed by this guy, and that is a new mechanic. So the enemies, if they attack you from behind, I don't know if it's just any attack, or if they do a specific one from behind, because it only happens very sporadically, but they can grab you. It doesn't interrupt your combo, and it enables you to do a beatdown input, which is actually in your benefit, because it builds combo really quickly. And I've been playing around with it a little bit in the challenges, but it's got to be said, folks, they've changed the challenges, and I'm not against change whatsoever. I like it, usually. But when you make it so that it's more about the car, and I only have one opportunity to fight, that doesn't make any sense to me. Especially coming off the last two games, which had, here's your fighting challenges, here's your Predator challenges, and that's all we've got. Like, all I wanted to do last night was jump into some challenges and beat some dudes up and get some high combos and see how easy it was to get 3 stars. I couldn't do that because I only unlocked 1, and the other 2, there was only 1 to choose from, and there's normally like 10. And the rest were car stuff, and the car is fun, but it ain't that fun. So I was confused. I was really confused about that. I'm hoping that once I unlock all the challenges, or I figure out how to navigate them to the areas, the ones that I want, it's going to be a little bit like the old Arkham games. Because this game has every side character in it. You get to play as Nightwing, you get to play as Robin, you get to even play as the Azrael dude, who I wanted nothing more than to play as him in Arkham City, but you get to play him in this game, where he doesn't look as cool as he did in Arkham City, which fucking sucks, but there you go, he still looks pretty badass. You get to play as everybody. So all I wanted was the opportunity to do all the challenges with everybody without having to buy it like in the last one. And then there were no challenges to do, so it was incredibly just off-putting immediately. But that is a new mechanic, along with the environmental stuff. I still don't like the environmental stuff I've been playing it a hell of a lot more and trying to get used to it, but it doesn't detect well enough for what it is. Like, it should work just like a takedown. You shouldn't have to wait for an enemy to glow. Like, look at the distance Batman covers to do these takedowns. Why the hell can we not just cover that distance when we've got an enemy and do the environmental thing? Like, let's look at it from an objective perspective of balance. Would it make the game too easy because Batman would be super overpowered because it looks like those environmental kills don't need any requirements, you can just kind of do them? A little bit. But the game is already so trivialized just by the fact that you start with really good gadgets. You have so much more of a control of Batman in this game than you have previously, making everything feel a lot more streamlined. Although, I mentioned on Twitter and in a comment that I've had input drops during the combat on this one. Never had that before in my memory of it. That could be selective memory, that could be something that they've changed slightly, but the amount of times where I'll be standing there like a tit waiting for Batman to do something I've just pressed and I'll get hit, really frustrating, and you'll see a couple of instances of them. And I think it's just me. I think there's something subtly different with timing on certain areas that I'm pressing it too early and it's getting swallowed. Hopefully I'll be able to get past that and understand it a bit better, but just like dropping combos when I'm picking weapons up or doing the environmental things, some of it feels a little bit finicky and a little bit weird. It's an adjustment period, guys, because believe it or not, the mechanics might feel exactly the same as the old games, but there are a lot of subtle differences, and there are additions that change the way the combat flows. One of the things I've noticed the most is at the end of a fight, it was usually quite easy to tell if anybody was left. Because if you did the ground takedown, Batman would jump into the air 90 miles away and land on a dude and end him. But on this game, it doesn't seem to work that well. Like, there's been times when I've done even just a standard takedown at the end of a fight, knowing there was somebody left, and Batman did the parry stance, it ruined my combo, and the guy on the other side of the room's like clapping his hands and beginning that running attack that you have to hit them with the boomerang. So I don't know, it's one of those things where, because the game is so new and I'm so new to it, I'm still working through some teething problems, but I am somebody who's put a lot of time into the combat on Batman, and I know what it feels like when everything's flowing, and every so often there's moments where this combat doesn't flow for me, and I think it's just timing that needs to be learned. But a bit of environmental puzzle solving here. This is quite interesting, because you don't do too much of this throughout the rest of the game. Like, there is a lot of Batmobile environmental puzzles, and I think they're pretty good. For the most, I think they're really good, actually. When I read the review for the game, people were saying the Batmobile is a really important part of the game, for better or for worse. Kevin Van Ord, of the now probably famous GameSpot review, said that the Batmobile just got boring and wasn't very, good, and they use it all the time, far too much Batmobile, which I can understand that sentiment, but I think the only real times where the Batmobile becomes a burden is during some of the bigger gauntlets, like some of the forced crazy fights where it just goes on a little bit too long. But here is tank battle is a good example of it, and a couple of things you need to know about the tank battle. Do you see that purple light on the smaller drones? If you shoot that with the turret, which is right bumper, it's an instant kill. However, if you hold it, the reticle will bloom and your bullets won't go where you're pointing as well. So you want to be a little bit more precise, and if you don't have any upgrades on the Batmobile and you're struggling because your gun doesn't fire as well, do not sleep on that machine gun. It's incredibly useful. Incredibly useful, and of course the cannon too. One thing I just did then, I don't know if you were paying attention, I didn't use my missile barrage. My logic here is I'm going to save it for the boss fight against the Arkham Knight, because once we're finished in Ace Chemicals, there's a really, really brutal instant fight against a helicopter and a bunch of tanks. And I call it brutal not because it's that difficult, but because you haven't really been in the tank long enough to get good at it, in my opinion, unless you're restarting a lot and then getting it. And they make you fight a ton of ground units while you're being carpet bombed by a chopper, and the chopper doesn't die in like 2 shots. The chopper has a life bar because it's a boss, and it takes a massive beating. This enemy right here has been electrified by the medic. To get the electricity off him, you want to pull him with the backlaw is a good way of doing it. I generally hit them with a ton of different items and then execute them with the takedowns, or you can just get rid of the medic before he gets a chance to do it. I don't know if I mentioned in the previous video, but the medic is a really interesting new piece of new enemy to fight. He's my favourite of the new enemies. I think the addition of the ninjas again kills the flow of the fights. I fucking hate the ninjas, and I hate them for one real reason. You don't know what they're going to do. Sometimes it's a blue counter move, sometimes it's a knife counter move with the yellow insignia. And of course on New Game Plus they take away those insignias, so you'll be dodging a million attacks that were probably blue by those stupid ninjas, and the one you try and parry is a fucking knife one. And I'm sorry, but it's stuff like that I don't really find fun, and I don't understand why they're there, because this entire combat is based on fluidity and movement, and all they do is kill the flow. Like, it's just one of those enemies I've never liked, and you can do some really fun stuff with them, but yeah, they're the enemy that I literally use my takedowns on. They're the enemies that I always try and isolate and incapacitate, and I recommend you do the same, because they're just annoying. The new Brute enemy, I don't like either. He has this uncanny ability to hit you in recovery frames, and they've changed something in the combat on this game, where in previous games, once you were done doing something to somebody else, if you double tapped A, you almost, and I mean almost 100% of the times, would be able to dodge any incoming blow, regardless of when it was started or how close it was to you. In this game, when those heavies start attacking you after you've done something like a counter or a takedown, and they're attacking, you need to parry them. If you don't, they hit you every time. Every single fucking time, they'll hit you. And I don't know why. It's a new mechanic. It must be because I never got hit by heavies in the last game. In fact, the ones with the one arm were my favourite enemy in the game in Arkham City, because you could build combo on them, wait for them to pull back, jump over them, build more combo, do the same until you had like 100 combo, and cash it in on everybody else. Like, they were the best way to build your combo. And now, that arsehole hits me more than anybody else, because the infallible jumping over dudes after attacking is nowhere near as safe as it once was, which is not a bad change, but getting used to it is taking me a long time. It's too much muscle memory, and I'm having a tough time with that. But the medics, I think it's great, and it works two ways. They revive people, and they also give people electricity. The electricity you probably won't see on New Game until a while, because I think it has to be introduced in the Stag Enterprises, but in New Game Plus you'll see it a lot. However, I really like that. I would prefer it if none of the enemies started with weapons, but the medic could give them weapons. Because if you don't have the disarm and destroy takedown, some of the weapons are just the most annoying things in the world, because you knock it out of their hands and some bugger else picks it up. Look at the shields, the bloody car doors that everybody picks up. If that isn't some of the most annoying stuff in the world, and it's annoying for one reason. When you're in a big skirmish and you're attacking with Batman and you've just dashed 90 miles to one area of the room to punch a dude, and you press back and X to dash the other way to keep your combo going, and you punch the dude with the shield and your combo's dead. How many times have you done that? Don't lie, we all have, numerous times. Or you hit the fucking heavy guy who you can't hit unless you stun him first. Like, and don't get me wrong, I don't mind poor play and I don't mind getting hit. But I hate losing my combo, which is essentially what getting hit means. And it's always in those circumstances. But the upgrade paths in this game, once again, they've restored my faith in humanity by enabling you to immediately get critical hits, which is the best skill in this game, hands down, bar none. Oh, by the way, the fear takedown is amazing. You want to use it to get rid of the medic off the bat so that you don't have to worry about anybody getting electrified, and then you can focus on getting creative and getting rid of the ninjas. So when you attack the ninjas, they will either dodge away from you and then do this weird counter that takes forever, or they'll take it in the face. And I like to use an assortment of gadgets against them to keep the ninjas off my back, but in this fight apparently You see that? Oh, it was because he dodged, my bad. I was wondering what was happening then. Why was Batman moving so slow when he wasn't hitting anything? And it's because, of course, they dodged me. But... ooh, that was weird. I do like the sound effects on this particular game. It's always sounded good, the combat, but now it sounds really good. Like, straight up really good. There's a quick beatdown. And there's the takedown to get rid of him. Pretty simple stuff. I can't remember what I was saying.
It's okay.
The upgrades, sorry. If you played Arkham Origins, they didn't enable you to get that move from the beginning.
Jim,
and they should have, because it's the most important move in the game. It rewards timing over mashing, and the amount of people who think you mash in this combat is hilarious, and those people really need to hopefully study it a little bit better to understand how to level up, because this game is not about mashing, guys, unless you're doing a beatdown. That is the only time where mashing will help you. At every other turn, it's all about timing, and that's what makes it fun. Timing, and the critical hits rewards timing, so it's always the first thing I buy. And some of the other upgrades, I don't agree with. But that's the end of the video, so I'm going to explain this in the next video. You take care now.